The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Hello, welcome to Love Your Body, Love Your Life. My name is Jenna. I am the author of the book titled Love Your Body, Love Your Life. I'm also, there's a banner of my book, thank you. I'm also a life coach, and I just wanted to announce before we start the show that I am hosting my first 6-week course, and it's on the 5 steps for forgiveness. Forgiveness is a very powerful work. There's the little flyer that we have made. There's more information on my website at jennalogos.com. So if anybody's interested in this course, it starts March 26th. It goes for 6 weeks. It's going to be a small group of women. So it's a lot of intimate conversation. And like I was saying, forgiveness work is so powerful. I can't tell you enough about it. But I don't want to spend my time talking about that because we have a really amazing guest on today. Her name is Dr. Suzanne Tang. She's an acupuncturist. She works at Coastal Acupuncture in Irvine, I believe. Coastal Acupuncture and Natural Health. And this is her second time on my show. We actually did the radio show back in, I think, 2020 during the pandemic. She was on the show. And so a lot of people asked for her back. And so now you get to see her face, her beautiful face, and put a face to a name. And we do have some questions that we weren't able to answer last time she was on the show. So we will get to those. And we are talking about hormones. And, you know, speaking of 2020, I think we've all learned how important our health is. And hormones are a big part of our health. And I know for me personally, I've been balancing my hormones with Dr. Tang for, I don't know, it's been 2 years. And I'm finally feeling really good, really balanced. And I just want everyone to tune in and hopefully take some nuggets from our conversation today. I'm a big advocate on always checking in with yourself and always feeling into your own body and seeing what feels right to you and what doesn't feel right. Because at the end of the day, you are the best to know what is your body tells you what it needs and what it doesn't need. So anyways, that's a whole other conversation, but I want to bring on Dr. Tang and let's start our show.
Hi, Jenna. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you for having me on your show.
Of course. Thank you for being back. Like I was saying, second time around.
Absolutely. It was so much fun last time. I really enjoyed our conversation. So I'm excited for the part 2 of women's health and natural hormone balance, because that's really, I call it my jam. I really love working with women and men too, but I really love giving people options, treatment options to help bring balance to their life. And when we're going into these hormonal shifts like perimenopause and menopause, it can be very life-changing. And my goal is to provide the most natural treatment options available through diet, lifestyle, herbs, supplements, potentially bioidentical hormone therapy, so that each person can really have an improved quality of life, right? We're here once, so we want to really live our best version of ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I do have some questions that, were written in, but before we get to those questions, let's start out with, something I know that every woman deals with, even if they're not going through perimenopause or menopause, it's PMS.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so PMS stands for premenstrual syndrome, and it's something that probably most women are pretty familiar with. It is basically there's different types of PMS. So the most predominant type of PMS is irritability, sometimes bloating, breast tenderness. So what I typically help people look at is what's going on with their hormones during this time. The PMS typically occurs after ovulation. Typically, it can occur but right before, like a week before menses, but for some women, it can last from ovulation until their period starts. So, just like a real basic 101 is that when you're having a period, your hormones fluctuate a lot. In the beginning, your hormones are low, your estradiol and progesterone are low. As you go into ovulation, your estradiol is peaking and releases luteinizing hormone, which is a hormone that allows for ovulation. And once that ovulation happens, you release progesterone. And the progesterone is really key for calming the nervous system, for reducing inflammation, also for regulating the cycle and making sure that the lining is healthy, along with estradiol. But estradiol has other benefits too. So what happens a lot with women who have PMS is that their progesterone levels perhaps aren't at optimal levels. So after ovulation, just to go back, your progesterone peaks, and this is when implantation occurs for those of us who, want to get pregnant. But if you're not, it's still really important for helping regulate cycles, regulate mood and sleep. Progesterone drops, and that's when the vessels of the uterine lining begin to constrict, and then you have menses or period. So, as I mentioned during PMS, what happens a lot is that progesterone levels are very low for some people.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be maybe they're having trouble ovulating, or perhaps they're have a luteal phase defect issue where they're not producing enough progesterone. Perhaps they have low nutrients like B6, magnesium, zinc that is interfering with the ability to produce progesterone. For many of my patients, they've been on birth control pill for so long, birth control pills, oral contraceptives, that it has interfered with the hormones, natural hormone rhythm, that natural fluctuation of the hormones. And then it makes it challenging for them to have optimal hormones. So typically I'll assess my patients via blood work, and I'll give them lifestyle, dietary supplementation support. My favorite herb for PMS is Vitex, chase tree berry. It actually helps to stimulate luteinizing hormone naturally to help produce progesterone. So that's one of the nutrients or herbs that I recommend, along with perhaps B6 and magnesium.
So with that, Dr. Tang, so the Vitex and the B vitamins, because let's say even for a young girl, what can she do if she's having a bad PMS symptoms?
Mm-hmm.
Where can they find the herbs? Is it on your site?
Vitex is pretty readily available, but I do think people need to be mindful when they're purchasing herbs that not every supplement is the same. There's, really important manufacturing standards that I look at when I choose a company. I look to make sure there's not fillers and dyes and additives. So just going to any old drugstore is not, I think you have to be mindful about that. So we do have an online dispensary, but typically patients need to consult with us first. We also have a formula called PMS Free that is through our Awakened Health company. We have formulated these formulas for patients because we see, for example, so many women with PMS with sleep disruption, mood disruption, and discomfort. So PMS Free does have Vitex in it, along with other Chinese herbs to help calm the nervous system, improve progesterone levels, reduce inflammation, and help stabilize mood. And it's based on the classic formula, Xiao Yao San, Free and Easy Wanderer. So it is like the classic for moving stagnation, improving qi flow, and calming and grounding the nervous system. So, I feel like PMS it's fine to take an herb, but I feel like it's important to also consult with your naturopathic doctor to see what the hormones are looking like. And sometimes it's not a nutrient deficiency, it's a progesterone deficiency. Sometimes there's a thyroid issue going on, an adrenal issue going on that's complicating the issue. And then there's a lifestyle piece, right? Like perhaps the patient's could improve their diet, their movement, In fact, I would recommend exercise as like a really basic lifestyle change if we're, because we tend to be sitting a lot, right, in front of the computer in school for a young girl, women, for most working women, we're sitting. So I really believe that like moving our bodies is really important and calming our nervous system, because when we're stressed, it interferes with ovulation and it interferes with progesterone production.
Yeah.
So meditation, yoga, walking outside, having stillness. So there's many things that a person can do besides just taking a supplement. I prefer looking at lifestyle diet first, and then if needed, add additional support.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's so many options right now for online, even online, 15, 20 minutes of movement.
Yes.
I love Tracy Anderson. I don't know. I'll just mention that because I've found her, what her message is really good. She talks about the body differently. She's very into mind body. She talks about body image. And so I love her community. And so I'm a big hot yoga person, but if I can't make it to hot yoga, I have her videos. So it's like, and I love it, Dr. Tang, because you can pick a 15-minute video or a 30-minute video or a full hour. So it's like,
there's a lot of options for busy people, depending on how much time they have. And that's, you hit the nail on the head, is that, a lot of people are busy, right? And so when you have options for exercise, when you find something that you really resonate with, that you love, that's what you want to create as a part of your routine. So I personally I'm a gym rat. I like to go do my Zumba. I like to lift weights. And it was hard during the pandemic, right? Because a lot of gyms were closed. So I was doing a lot of workouts online as well. And that was great. And then I, was biking outside, hiking. That was one of the benefits of the pandemic, was it forced you to go outside and move your body, at least for me, because I have to exercise. So there are so many options. It's really about finding what you love and doing it nourishes your body, and having, making the time, making it as part of your self-care routine.
For sure. I think just, as women, we're more stressed these days. I mean, just overall, I was just in Hawaii over the holidays, and I got quarantined. That's a whole other story, but because my COVID test wasn't uploaded onto their specific site that Hawaii just makes you have it on a specific site.
Right.
So
they have these
COVID
specific testing partners. Yeah.
Specific. So Hogue wasn't on that site. So anyways, I got quarantined for the first, I think, 10 days or something. But it was interesting because I didn't realize how much sleep I needed just to actually calm my nervous system down. And I'm someone that's very mindful of that, like I know when my body is stressed and my mind is going too crazy, I'll literally take 5 minutes and meditate. So I'm someone that's mindful of that. I can't imagine somebody that's not, and I still needed, I think it was a good 5 days of true rest to really feel my nervous system oh, I'm in Hawaii now, So,
exactly. I think that's the awareness, right? And sometimes the awareness doesn't quite come through if we're really, really busy. Like we're going from one thing to the next, we're constantly rushing, responding to emails, texts. It's almost like the nervous system doesn't get a chance to just shift into the parasympathetic state. And so for you, it sounds like your nervous system really had to take a certain amount of time to recognize, oh, I need this to calm my nervous system. I need more sleep. I need the stillness. Yeah. And I really believe after practicing for, I think 16 years, I find that most of my patients are stressed, and I find that stress creates inflammation. It disrupts hormones. It interferes with absorption. And I know firsthand because I'm a very type A driven kind of gal. So I have to remind myself, take a breath. 3 breaths actually will shift your nervous system into a parasympathetic calm state. Slow down, You don't have to fill your schedule up and be so productive and busy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it really is a reprogramming. We have to reprogram ourselves to slow down and to take care of ourselves, because this is really what it's about, is self-care and self-love.
Absolutely, for sure, hands down. And so, with that said, I noticed for me personally, Dr. Tang, and I know you and I have talked about this offline, but I have no problem sharing. I noticed that when I, first of all, don't get enough sleep, or I'm in a stress situation, or, even preparing for the show, my adrenaline gets up because I have so many other things happening, behind the scenes here. But I do notice that I get bloated.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about that, like that whole belly fat, bloated, and
Yes.
how that is like kind of connected. And I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Oh no, you are not the only one. So we were talking about the parasympathetic nervous system, right? So let me go back a little further, and then we will talk about bloating and belly fat and all that.
Yeah.
So the nervous system is either in a sympathetic or a parasympathetic state. So sympathetic is what you were talking about: adrenaline, go, go, go. I got things to do. That's the fight or freeze phase of your nervous system when you're under duress or stress. And it's very important to have that, because you need to be able to handle a stressful situation. Back in the day, it would be running away from a tiger, saber-toothed tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, nowadays it's chronic. Like, we have like crisis stress, and then we have like daily stress due to our busy, demanding lives. The other part of our nervous system is parasympathetic, which is really helps it's called the rest and digest. So digestion is key with your nervous system, right? The rest and digest phase is when we're calm, we're doing our yoga, we're getting enough sleep, we're in Hawaii, relaxing. We're doing our meditations in the morning, we're watching our thoughts and mindful of how we react or respond. So when we're in that state, and I'm going to just give a plug to breath work, because those 3 deep breaths really gets you into that state very quickly. Blood flow goes to the gut, right? Blood flow goes to our organ systems, our endocrine system, our hormone systems. We feel relaxed. We have less inflammation. We feel at peace. And when our body is in that relaxed state, it functions so much better. We're absorbing our nutrients. So what happens is when we're in adrenaline state, sympathetic state, all the blood goes to your muscles and to the brain to respond to that stress, right? To run away from that saber-toothed tiger. And we are basically disrupting our ability to digest properly. So the bloating can happen, interference with breaking down food, absorbing food. Sometimes we get the knots in our stomach, the butterflies in our stomach. Some people, it feels like heartburn or nausea or disruption of their bowel movements. So some people can go loose or firm, too firm. So really, the nervous system is so key for us to really support the digestive system to work properly. And a lot of most our serotonin, which is the happy hormone, right? We talk a lot. I talk to my patients a lot about, because stress depletes serotonin. Serotonin is anti-inflammatory, mood elevating, and really helps to buffer the stress response. It's all made in the gut, right? And our microbiome, our bacteria, good flora, is all in the gut. And when that gets disrupted from poor diet, stress, medications, it can really affect our digestive function. So then you have the piece about belly fat, right? Which is when you're in a state of duress or stress all the time, your cortisol will rise. And when your cortisol is made by the adrenal glands, which sit on top of the kidneys, and they help to regulate blood sugar, energy, immunity, inflammation, sleep. And when it is too high, it can cause us to deposit more fat in our belly. I got the cortisol belly, right? So there's an interesting study looking at how Tai Chi and menopausal women can actually help with reducing belly fat. And, Tai Chi is a very restorative type of movement. You're not doing like high impact exercises here. And I thought, well, perhaps it's the movement piece, but also the fact that you are working on your mind too, and you're calming your nervous system. and reducing the stress hormones. So we got the cortisol piece. And then my favorite topic, menopause and perimenopause, when your estradiol drops, which eventually all of us will go into menopause, enzymes that regulate fat metabolism gets affected. So we store more fat and in the belly. So estrogen, when it drops, what happens is our metabolism slows down and we tend to store more fat. But it's not all, the end of the world here. We're going to be able to offset that in many ways, and we can talk about that more if you have specific questions.
Yeah.
So balancing hormones is really key. In addition to cortisol, estradiol, along with progesterone, testosterone, and thyroid hormones are really important to balance when it comes to the bloating and the belly fat.
Okay.
I'm happy to talk about estrogen next if you like.
What's that?
I'm happy to talk about estradiol if you like, how to support estradiol. Yeah, because I thought it was a little bit of I thought to myself when I saw this study, when these enzymes get upregulated to store more fat as estrogen drops, I thought, why would God do that to us? So, in my mind, it made sense to me because estradiol and progesterone, our hormones, get stored in fat. And as our hormones drop, the body's just trying to do what it does best, is try to balance, right? And balance meaning I'm going to hold on to my fat stores so I can hold on to my hormones, right? So that was my kind of interpretation of that mechanism. But also just in terms of estradiol itself, as it drops, we also will reduce our metabolism drops. We tend to get the hot flashes, night sweats. Perhaps there's mood, sleep disruption. Our skin gets drier, hair gets drier. There's a lot of things that go on as estrogen drops. We have more risk for heart disease, Alzheimer's. So estradiol can be supported in multiple ways. And I don't just support estradiol, I look at supporting all the hormones. But estradiol in particular can be supported with a number of different herbs and nutrients. Maca root, black cohosh, dongguai are some of my favorites. And then estradiol can be supported with bioidentical hormones as well. So bioidentical hormones are basically plant-based hormones that are made to be bioavailable, as absorbable as possible for your body, because it recognizes it compared to non-bioidentical hormones. But also you can combat, and there's certain foods you can eat. So like my favorite is flax seeds. Ground flaxseed, throw it in your smoothie, throw it in your oatmeal. I love that with chia seeds too. So that's another one. And then you can combat belly fat by regulating your cortisol levels, supporting your estradiol levels, and with exercise. Let's go back to exercise, stress reduction. Those are the studies have shown that by eating healthy, whole foods diet, moving your body, incorporating some HIIT training, which is high intensity interval training that's right for you, you can stave off the weight gain and the belly fat that comes with menopause. And then you want to support the adrenals, because when the ovaries go on vacation, the adrenals take over because the adrenals make dehydroepiandrosterone, which converts into estradiol and testosterone. So it's all connected.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
And I will say, just because I've been working with you for, I think it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
I think so.
Before the pandemic, I think, or right around the pandemic.
Right around. Dr. Tang is like all about blood work. I haven't taken so much blood work. I'm like always at the clinic. They know me there.
I do have, I don't want to call it an obsession, but I do like doing blood work because it's like a roadmap, right? And I mean, definitely the patient's symptoms are important, but I find that the blood work is something that, and I look at estradiol, testosterone, DHEA, progesterone. I do a full thyroid panel. We'll do, additional adrenal testing. I like to look at all of that because not everybody is going to show up the same way, right? Maybe they present the same way, but their hormones are out of balance in a different way, and it helps direct the care. And I think it's really educational. As you probably can tell, I love talking about hormones and educating patients, because really this is about empowering the community to be their own advocate for their health care and their health needs. And part of that is knowing really understanding that a full comprehensive blood work is key to that. That's just how I practice. I like to look at blood work and I like to monitor it. And are the supplements working? Are the bioidentical hormones working? And that way we can, I can give patients feedback and change the plan as needed. Yes.
So we did have a question. We have a couple questions, but what does blood work mean?
Oh, okay. Blood work is just laboratory testing via blood. So blood is drawn, and as a doctor, if I were your doctor, I would write up a lab order. The phlebotomist will draw your blood, and the blood will be tested for a number of different things. So like you probably are familiar with a CBC, which is a cell blood count, lipid panel, metabolic panel. Those are things that are typically ordered. And then I will do other types of labs via blood to see what else is going on. But you can also do testing via saliva sample, urine testing. There's, for stool, for the bloating situation, Jenna, sometimes I'll look to see if there's something going on with like a overgrowth of bacteria. So I'll do a stool test, which I know you're familiar with. So there's other different ways to assess what's going on with the physiology of the body, the hormone balance, digestive issues. Blood work is one way to do it. So laboratory testing, basically via blood.
Yeah, and I'll add, I love that we do get really specific because the body changes. I mean, it can change obviously it changes every single day, and so I know that since we first started working together, my supplements have changed, just because of us being so specific with blood work and other types of, testing that you offer.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate that. So
you're welcome. And one thing I would add too is particularly for women, we go through so many phases of change. So, we go through obviously childhood and then puberty and then the childbearing years, whether or not you decide to have babies or not. And then PMS for some, perimenopause, menopause. So I like to do blood work as people go into different phases of their life because it changes too. And then I need to change the treatment plan based on that because what was appropriate maybe 2-3 years ago for someone in their early 40s will be different as they go into their mid 40s, late 40s, where there's much more presentation of perimenopause as progesterone drops, estradiol to follow. And then oftentimes the male hormones, testosterone, DHEA begins to drop too during this time. And then we have the phase where there's no hormones much left. And that's where, I change the plan to make sure I provide that extra support. I do want to bring something up is like when I was studying hormones and bioidenticals, testing and all that for hormones is that I questioned, why am I interfering with nature here? This is supposed to happen, right? As men and women, we're supposed to go into hormone decline. And I thought, why am I messing around with nature for? But I wasn't in menopause. I was in my 30s, back then. And what I realized is each patient who came before me, even men who are going through andropause, which is the change in their drop in testosterone DHEA, is that, quality of life is so important. I didn't firsthand understand what it was like to have a hot flash, night sweats, not sleep, change your personality almost overnight because you're really suffering physically. So my goal is to give patients as many options as possible to improve their quality of life. And when our hormones drop, more degeneration, more disease begins to take place. It's basically we're aging much more significantly. And so my goal is to prevent disease as much as possible early on with the diet, lifestyle, vitamins, nutrients, and bioidenticals if needed.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me just finish here. I just had a panel of blood work done. Would I take my results to you for analysis?
Yes. Oh, I love looking at blood work. So if you were to come see me or one of our other naturopathic doctors, bring all your labs, bring your supplements, bring your medications, because that first hour and a half, I spend at least an hour and a half with each patient when they come in. I sit down, I go over the history, I go over your existing labs, supplements, diet, lifestyle, all of that, sleep. And then I will base the lab work that I order on what was already done or what is maybe abnormal or out of range. And I'm going to tell you, I normally will do additional blood work because most patients have pretty like basic blood work done. Annual, like I said, the CBC, the CMP, the lipid panel, maybe if we're lucky, a vitamin D and a TSH, which is a thyroid screening test. Yes, awesome. So definitely bring the labs and we'll review them with you as part of your visit.
Awesome. Okay, so our next question is, this is a two-part question.
Okay.
Can acupuncture help with hot flashes and night sweats?
Yes, there's actually studies that have shown that acupuncture has been able to affect estradiol, progesterone levels, FSH, and LH levels. FSH stands for follicle stimulating hormone, and LH is luteinizing hormone, as I mentioned earlier about ovulation. And these hormones are really important. They're made by the pituitary gland in the brain to stimulate your ovaries to make estradiol and progesterone. So acupuncture has been shown to help support and balance these hormones, but particularly in perimenopause. Once you're in menopause, it's maybe a little more challenging. We need to bring in herbs and nutrients as well to the picture, and those work very, very well. But acupuncture calms the nervous system, supports the adrenal glands, and will help with calming the nervous system as well as balancing estradiol and progesterone to reduce night sweats and hot flashes. I generally will pair like Meno Ease. We have a Meno Ease formula from our Awakened Health company, which can I share that you've had some experience with, Jenna? With Meno Ease?
Sure, too.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So Meno Ease is based on a classic formula, Lu Wei Di Huang Wan, which is one of the formulas we use to help nourish the yin, clear heat, and it's like a classic menopausal formula. So we took what, the basic classic formula, and we added further nutrients to help with sleep and the nervous system, because oftentimes there's some anxiety, maybe depression and insomnia when it comes to menopause and perimenopause.
So I just want to add, so what Dr. Tang is talking about is a formula that her and her partner created, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can't get it anywhere else. You have to actually go through Coastal Acupuncture, just so people know.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. And I know at the bottom, our website for Awakened Health is listed. So it'll probably scroll through momentarily. It's Awakened Health. Oh, there you go. awakenedhealth.com. So you can go to that website, and we have all our proprietary formulas made specific to our patient needs. But we found that we see certain patients so often with hot flashes, night sweats, PMS. And my partner does a lot of fertility care too. So we've made these formulas for our community so that they have access to the support. And some people may not need a full consult. They just want to buy our formulas, and that's totally fine too.
Awesome. Okay. So same person asked, what about endometriosis?
And sorry, say that one more time.
What about endometriosis and menopause?
Yes.
Recently diagnosis, and doctor added IUD to help elevate excessive cramps and heavy bleeding. All of this combined with menopause has been a roller coaster ride on my body.
Okay, so endometriosis, let's talk about that. And for the the person that has written in, I feel you, because we see a lot of patients who have endometriosis and going through menopause. So the separately, but the combo can be very challenging. So we understand what you're going through, and we definitely have helped many of our patients with those conditions. So endometriosis is a condition where the uterine lining gets displaced, and it's almost considered an autoimmune condition. It's because the immune system reacts to this endometrial tissue. So the uterine lining is what gets sloughed off, right, during our period. And for patients with endometriosis, and I believe that there's definitely some estrogen imbalance, is that maybe some estrogen dominance where there's too much estrogen that is overstimulating the tissue, and then it gets displaced. It can be place in the colon, even in the lungs. Very painful condition, especially during menses. And then the immune system mounts an inflammatory reaction to the tissue. So there's just a lot of pain that's involved. And digestive issues too. I see that combination. So endometriosis is oftentimes, the way I treat endometriosis is blood work. I don't treat it through blood work, but I look at what's going on to see if there is estrogen dominance. Is there a low progesterone? Is there also any history of autoimmunity? Is there inflammation going on? And then I work with balancing the hormones. I really work on reducing the pain and inflammation with acupuncture and herbs. Particularly Chinese herbs are really, really helpful for that because they're very blood moving. So when you have perimenopause with endometriosis, you have a lot of hormonal fluctuations. For this particular person that you're writing in, I would say get your hormones checked for sure. And let's see where your hormones are at. And what we could do is work on nutrients, acupuncture, herbs to help reset and rebalance those hormones. When you're in menopause, we're not looking to really get you back to your 20s and 30s, but we're looking to help you have some support. So as I mentioned, that you can have less inflammation, you can have more quality of life. So I would do a combination of acupuncture, herbs, nutrients, and a lot of dietary changes to reduce I would do like an anti-inflammatory diet in this case to reduce the amount of inflammation. What does that mean? Really reducing the amount of white sugar, processed foods, saturated fats, trans fats, hydrogenated oils. So basically things that are packaged and processed. And then look to shifting towards a more whole foods, plant-based diet with lots of healthy fats. Nuts and seeds, avocados, olive oil to reduce the inflammation. I know for some people they need to do the surgical route to remove the endometrial tissue. And I'm all for integrative medicine because I know that there are times when you need that intervention, but oftentimes the endometrial tissue comes back. So it's important for us to look at preventing it from returning. And then the immune system's key, regulating the immune system. And there's ways to reduce that inflammatory response with herbs and nutrients too. Fish oils are my favorite, actually. Fish oils are one of my go-tos for reducing inflammation.
I'm just curious, Dr. Tang, because I don't understand, if she was recently diagnosed with this, why would an IUD be added?
Oh, the IUD piece. So the IUD is an intrauterine device it's oftentimes used for birth control, right? So with Western medicine, what happens often is that there's a control they'll use devices or medications to control and suppress the hormones, because the hormones oftentimes will drive, like the estrogen will drive the stimulation of the endometrial tissue. Again, this is an interesting case because if she's in menopause, then the hormone should be fairly low, but the IUD is there to prevent that hormonal surge that could be contributing to the causing pain with endometriosis. But IUDs can also cause cramping and bleeding, heavy bleeding. So there's some side effects to that too, as well. So the copper IUD, usually the way it works is that it interferes with ovulation. So I don't know the exact mechanism, but it can prevent the ovulation process, and then it'll prevent the hormonal surges, which can be maybe a Band-Aid right now, but down the road, we want to support the body in a way where there's no hormone suppression.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can I add one more thing too? Another thing I would recommend is a liver detoxification or a liver cleanse for patients who have maybe excess estrogen dominance, and that's too much estrogen, not enough progesterone. And in the world we live with plastics and hormones in our food, we're pretty estrogen dominant, right? Caffeine, alcohol, those are really estrogen dominant foods. A lot of us can, most people drink coffee, some people have alcohol. So the liver processes all these hormones, right? So if you have excess estrogen or inflammation, doing a liver cleanse by eating a very clean plant-based diet with herbs and nutrients to support liver detoxification, like N-acetylcysteine, milk thistle, for example, can be very, very helpful too.
Yeah. I will share, I'm on like day 22 or something of this raw food. We talked about this, but I'll share of this kind of raw food, plant-based. And I kind of just put myself on it. I was actually laying on the acupuncture table, 22 days ago. And, because I do acupuncture to balance my hormones and along with our treatment plan. But I'm super sensitive, Dr. Tang. As you know, I feel everything in my body, and I know when I'm in optimal health. Like I know, like any little thing bothers me. Like if I do yoga, I'm high energy normally. So I like to feel optimal, and I wasn't feeling that way, So I would do our treatment plan plus acupuncture, and I was laying on the table, whatever, 25 days ago, and I literally asked myself, like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm done with feeling the sluggishness or, the bloating and all of that. I'm done with, just talk to me, body. Like, literally talk to me. And the raw food thought came in my brain, like, go back on raw food. Because I did this diet in 2012. I did it for a totally different reason in 2012. I was actually asked to model for a raw food book called Raw and Sexy back in 2012.
That's a catchy book title.
Yeah, Raw and Sexy. And I write about this story in actually my book. But I wanted to walk the talk back in 2012. So I told the author, yes, I'll be a model for your book, but I feel like I need to do this diet in order to be in your book. So I did it for 3 months, and, obviously I was younger then, but oh my God, the results were instant, everything worked. I mean, I've always had an issue with digestion, more so constipation. And I was like regular. I was running at the time. My runs were fluid. I mean, I had so much awesomeness, like results right away. Nice. So anyway, fast forward, that's what I heard on the acupuncture table. And now I'm on day 22, and I'm big into now muscle testing and, feeling into what my body needs. And it's muscle tested, I weekly test it, like, do I need anything else? Do I need to add something? But it's continuing to muscle test that this is good. And same thing. Results are amazing right away, instantly. I feel much more energy. Bloating has gone down. I've lost weight. My sleep is better. And of course, I'm taking all the supplements. So I just kind of wanted to intervene and share that, because we were talking about the liver detox, and that was the first thing I noticed was, wow, I had so much to let go.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm so glad you had you're having such amazing results. And that's what a lot of patients will report is improved energy, like their skin improves, digestion improves. Because when we think about the liver is like the most important organ for clearing toxins from our body, right? So when I akin it to like the garbage waste management system. If unfortunately we collect a lot of trash, right? And waste. And so when the trash truck doesn't come, it's not picking up the trash. So that trash accumulates, and it can cause problems with detoxification. It can cause problems with digestion, skin, interfere with our hormones, detoxification and production. So yeah, I think it's so great I do encourage patients to do some type of liver cleanse, maybe once a year, right before spring. This is a really good time, especially after the holidays and all the stress we've had, to help clean up their diet, really get on track with taking care of their body, taking care of their health. Because we tend to get off track with how we eat, and it's not just food, it's technology, it's, relationships that aren't healthy for us. So there's many ways for us to detoxify.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Awesome. So we have a couple minutes left. As always, it goes by super fast.
All right.
Is there anything you want to leave us with, Dr. Tang? Just anything in that comes to your mind around women and hormones and taking really good care of ourselves? I know we talked about inflammation a lot, and
Yes. Well,
yeah,
I think what I'll leave with is, and this is probably the most common thing that I see with patients, that women in particular come with, is that they've been busy taking care of other people, taking care of either their children or their parents or their jobs, their spouses, and they forget to take care of themselves. And we live in a society where taking care of yourself is, maybe we're just stepping into that, right? Where it's encouraged and valued. So what I would say is, when you are hitting obstacles to taking care of yourself, taking the time for you, is just to think about how you've been programmed to take care of everybody else and put everybody else before you, and really think about whether that's in alignment with, who you truly are. And I had to really learn that myself as a working mom.
yeah,
And the culture I'm part of, it's a lot of service, putting everybody before others. And I think it's great to give, but you got to give to yourself. So you are the priority, take care of you, and the rest will fall into place. And remember, your worth is already there. Don't look for it outside of yourself by being busy and taking care of other people. It's already there. And part of that worth is loving yourself and taking care of you.
I love that. I love that. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much. Stay backstage so we can chit chat after I close up the show. But thank you so much, Dr. Tang.
Absolutely. And if your viewers have other questions, interested in reaching out to us, our Awakened Health Inc. is our website for our Awakened Health formulas. CanCenter.com, CANHcenter.com is our clinic website. So please reach out to us, check out our website, and we're here to serve. We're here to help our community. So if you need anything, give us a call, and we'd be happy to support you and schedule an appointment if you need further support. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
What an amazing show. And I really want to thank my questions that came in. That really helps us because it opens up the conversation. So thank you to the people that wrote in questions, and to Dr. Tang and her team, just for reminding us how important it is as women to take care of ourselves, put ourselves as a priority. So just to reiterate, her website is canhcenter.com. I have worked with her personally, and she's amazing. She gives you all kinds of different options for your health, and she gets the whole mind-body conversation, and you just leave feeling really peaceful and knowing that you're in good hands. So I can't recommend her and her team enough. So, meet me again next week or in 2 weeks. I'll be live again on my show. If anybody is interested in spending 6 weeks with me for learning the 5 steps to forgiveness, please go to my website there it is, my flyer on 5 steps to forgiveness. Please go to my website at jennalobos.com. And I would love to answer more questions if you have questions, or I would love for you to sign up and join me. And until next time, love your body and love your life. Take care.